Welcome to another episode of Inside Rangers Football. I'm your host, Brant Freeman, joined by Rangers head coach Larry Hill. Smithson Valley coming off a tough Week 2 loss against Harker Heights this past Friday, 27-13. But that was a very, very talented Harker Heights team. And Coach, when you look back at the game and you think about things that you did especially well, I look at defense. And you held Harker Heights scoreless in the second half. You forced 3 turnovers, made some really good plays. There were some explosives that the Knights pulled off, but beyond that, the defense, I thought, did a pretty good job. Overall, what were your takeaways from this past Friday?
Well, you mentioned the explosives, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the play? We've got to, we can't let them score in one play, the long run, the one play drive on a pass. And you're right, I mean, for the most part, we limited to them, but that's 14 points, a 14-point margin in the end. And now let's give credit where credit's due. The back is a U of H commit, the 2 tackles, you got a UT commit, a UTSA commit, the D tackle will go anywhere he wants. I mean, they've got some fine players. It kind of had the feel of a late November, early December playoff caliber talent on both on their team, and we did some things well defensively. I thought more than anything in the second half we just tackled better. That back is really special.
Oh yeah.
And he can make a something out of nothing, and he did a bunch of times. But to get where we want to go, we're going to play people of that caliber, and we've got to limit explosives. I think we gave up twice as many as we made. Now, some of that's on our defense, some of that's on our offense, but all in all, we did rebound well. We gave ourselves a chance to win after, really in the second quarter on into halftime, the Buzzards were circling pretty good. And we came out second half and, we missed some opportunities there that could have given us an opportunity to win the game.
I thought one of the big moments in the game, you were up 10-7, and David DeHoyas got a pick on the far sideline away from the home side. And you had the football near midfield, a chance to score, maybe go up even 2 possessions. Right. Drive stalls, go for a long field goal attempt that misses. They score in the ensuing possession. Did you find that to be a big turning point?
Well, a bit so, yeah. We need to come away with 7 or 3 there. We don't, and then they get a 75-yard run, that out of their tailback. So, it just your margin for error against a team as talented as them and play such a high level as them is pretty slim. They won their league going away last year. They're going to win it again this year. They're going to probably make a nice run in the 6A playoffs. So we knew going in on a short week that we had coming off a Saturday game, we better bring it. And thought our kids competed hard. We just didn't do enough to win.
Yeah. I mentioned David DeHoyas, the interception. He also ran the ball, I think, 14 times, and he's doing it for you on both sides of the football right now. How impressed have you been with David the first couple of games of the year?
Well, he's a big-time football player. He's entering his 3rd year as a starter on defense. Has all been a significant factor for us in the kicking game as well. And then, as you mentioned, this year he's shouldering some of the running back duties as well. And not that we don't have other backs, we do, but a talent level like that, we'd be foolish not to use him as many different ways as we can. And he's a very instinctive player. The game comes very natural to him, and then physically he's got the skills to do it. And we're proud to have him.
One of the storylines going into the game was how do you establish somebody to fill in for the void for Freddie DuBose? So tough to lose him to a season-ending knee injury, but again, next man up kind of deal. Find somebody else to make plays. TJ Hunt had a pretty good game this past Friday, over 70 yards receiving, had that long 39-yard touchdown play. Right. Looking back at TJ's performance from this past Friday, what stood out to you?
Well, it doesn't surprise us that he's playing well. He really began to assert himself last year, and then late in the year became a bigger part of our attack, and has had a great offseason, great work ethic, good skills. And so we're not surprised about that. He's probably as intuitive a football player as we have, not just a guy who can run down there and catch the ball. He understands route concepts, he understands coverages, understands where to settle in and to make the best catch. He's a very effective blocker for us. We can line him up and do line him up at multiple positions. And so he's a big part of what we do. And he did have a good ball game the other night. And we're even much like you said with David, we're even spotting him in on defense occasionally as well, just trying to get a little more production from him.
You know, it's not every day that you send a kicker out to attempt from 60 yards out or 50 yards out, but we saw that with Clayton Amaya from this past week, and each kick had the distance, just ended up missing the target a little bit. His kickoffs are going 15 yards deep, behind the end zone, let alone just to the back of it. So the leg on Clayton Amaya has been something else to watch so far. What do you make of his leg strength?
Well, you know, he was an impressive kicker for us a year ago as a 15-year-old sophomore, and but as he's gotten older, stronger, bigger, and then continue to work at his craft, he's not just a talented kid. He puts a lot of time in on this, and it's been neat to see, you know, and he's a weapon, as you mentioned. He gives us the opportunity to score even from that far out, and of course your kickoff coverage, if it's not a touchback, they are usually catching the ball pretty deep, and we've got a chance to pin them inside the 20. So he's a big part of what we do, and then this year we've asked him to shoulder the punting duties as well, and he's doing a good job there.
Against Smithson Valley coming off a hard-fought, tough loss against a very good Harker Heights team for this past Friday. Even in defeat, though, Smithson Valley making its share of plays. And with that, Coach Hill takes us through this week's Plays of the Week.
Let's take a look. Our first play of the week is a big touchdown pass early in the first quarter here. You can see T.J. Hunt, senior wide receiver's got a circle around him here at the bottom of the screen. And we're trying to make this play look like a play that we had success a week ago against Reagan. We ran a number of end-around reverses. And you can see Kyler Clark, one of our receivers, coming around to fake the reverse, but it's actually a fake. And when you can see the two Harker Heights defensive backs running up here to stop it, again, a play that a week ago we'd had great success with. As they do, T.J. Hunt, who has faked a block, is now going to not fake a block and run a streak route down the hash. Chase Sinlick, our quarterback, you can see, sees he's wide open, lays a pass in there real perfectly, catches it on about 6-7 yard line, and takes it into the end zone for our first touchdown. Well-designed play off of a play a week ago we had great success with. From the end zone, you get a better look. The play starts, we fake a stretch or a running play to the right, and then we fake the reverse to the left. The Harker Heights defense then reacts back over to it and never really see TJ going behind him until it's too late. You can see their defensive back well behind him. Perfectly thrown ball, and TJ hauls it in and takes it in for our first score. Our next play of the week is a defensive play. We're going to focus on senior middle linebacker Gavin Woods, new to linebacker, played defensive end, all-state honors a year ago. Is going to make a tremendous interception on a throw down the middle. As the play unfolds, it's a pass. You can see Gavin working over here towards the receiver, streaking through the middle, and it's rare for a linebacker to carry a receiver deep, but he does just that. He matches him. And then when the ball's in the air, he flips his hips back, and he's athletic enough to make a big interception down there on about the 20-21 yard line. Just a big play, gave us a lot of momentum. From the end zone, you can see it as the quarterback sees it. There's Gavin in the middle from his middle linebacker position. And as the play unfolds, he recognizes pass, and then immediately his eyes turn to his key. And his key is number 2 running down the middle of the field. He matches him, and then he's athletic enough right here to stick his cleats in the grass and flip his hips and kind of turn his whole body and make a heck of a catch. A catch any receiver would be proud of. Big momentum play, kept their drive, thwarted their drive, and gave the ball back to our offense. And those are our plays of the week.
And again, Smithson Valley looking to bounce back this Friday as they wrap up non-district play against East Central. A game we'll preview coming up next on Inside Rangers Football.
2 bits. 4 bits, 6 bits, $1. All for the Rangers, stand up and holler!
Ow! No, what's wrong? I really hurt my leg. That's horrible. Wait, Elle's dad sells insurance. Maybe he can help.
I wish he could, but...
My dad has his life insurance with Jeremy Fuller State Farm Insurance.
Yes, but...
My mom has her homeowner's policy with Jeremy Fuller State Farm Insurance also. I know my uncle says he only trusts Jeremy Fuller State Farm with his auto insurance needs.
Guys, wait! We do so many great coverages, but just not cheerleader legs.
Hey, that's okay. It's all better now. Let's start from the top, but with a little change.
2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, $1. All for Jeremy Fuller State Farm Insurance, stand
Fisher's Neighborhood Market is the only stop you need before and after game time. Get everything you need, plus a whole lot of things, well, you just want. Fisher's Neighborhood Market. Food, fuel, fun.
Welcome back to Inside Rangers Football, and as we've begun doing this year, we take a segment of our show and devote that to focusing on one member of our coaching staff each week and allowing our fans and community to get to know him a little bit better. This week, Coach Craig Worstifer is joining us. He's been our defensive coordinator since 2014, but has been on our staff the entire 30 years that I've been here. We're in year 30, and then in 1 year preceding that. So, Coach, you've been coaching 31 years, but you hadn't moved around a lot.
No, sir. I got lucky. Got in a great place, a great community. Obviously, getting to work for you and the staff here, and with the administrative support and the community support we have here and the type of kids we have, it's been a great place to raise my own family.
Well, now you're from around here. You know, some Ranger fans know that, some don't. But tell us a little bit about where you came from and how you got to Smithson Valley.
Well, I grew up in New Braunfels, long-time resident. My parents were born and raised in New Braunfels. I had the opportunity to play for a great coaching staff there in New Braunfels back in the early 80s. Jim Streety, who's a good friend of yours, yes. Lou Simmons, Tim Kingsbury, Peter Garza. I mean, go on and on. Great coaches that they had here. Obviously made a big impact on my life. Led me to do what I'm doing now and to try and make an impact on other kids now.
Now, there for a while out of college, you were going to get a real job. What was that?
Yes, sir. When I was 18 years old, I thought, well, I want to be rich. Yeah. My parents always told me you need to go coach, and that's really where my passion was. But as an 18-year-old, you don't always make the best decisions. And
no, really? Yeah.
And I thought, well, I just want to be rich. So I went and got a finance degree and worked as a stockbroker for a couple of years. Realized that's not what I wanted to do, so I called one day and said I'm going back to college, and my dad said, that's great, I hope you can pay for it. And luckily I'd made enough money being a stockbroker to be able to, with some help from my brother and some other family members that helped me live with them and stuff like that, went back and got my teaching certification. Best decision I ever made.
Well, now instead of gambling with money, now you're putting your livelihood in the what a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid does on a Friday night.
I'm not sure what's better, the stock market or that, but I'll take my chances with our kids.
Yeah. Well, now you've done a little bit of everything for us. I came in 1993. You had been here one season with the previous staff. Yes. And then what all have you coached? Been primarily the defensive side of the ball, but you've been a little bit all over the place over there.
Yes, sir. First several years I coached the cornerbacks. And did that, and then I guess 1999 moved up and started coaching the defensive front and the defensive line, and coached all four of those positions at one point or another. And then 2014, I switched over and started coaching the linebackers. So I've coached everything but the safeties so far.
And, of course, I've been our defensive coordinator since 2014. So you've been on the defensive side of the ball for 31 years. All of that coming from the background of playing quarterback in high school.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you just never know how you get from point A to B.
You really don't. You really don't.
Yeah.
Well, football's football, and it's been a fun ride.
It is, and we're going to continue that fun ride. And we're very blessed to have Coach Craig Worstifer, not just as our defensive coordinator, but a long-time mainstay of our staff, being great for kids and helping us hopefully churn out good men as well as good players. So, Coach, thanks for being on today. And now we're back with Rangers Trivia.
This week in Rangers Trivia, Smithson Valley has played East Central 11 times before, and the Rangers have faced the Hornets in each of the last 8 seasons. They've also met once before in the playoffs. In which season was that? Is the answer A, 1998, B, 2007, or C, 2013? The answer is B, 2007. Smithson Valley won that game 49-22, an area round game in the Alamo Dome. In 11 all-time meetings against the Hornets, the Rangers are perfect 11-0. So again, Smith Valley unbeaten all time against the Hornets. They try to make it 12-0 this Friday to take on Coach Hill's alma mater, East Central. And part of the trivia, of course, or the trivia answer was the 2007 season is when you faced the Hornets in the postseason. Crazy to think that was 15 years ago now, Coach, but what do you recall about that game?
Well, I remember they had a couple of really talented running backs and had an outstanding year and run the table, I think, in their league, and I've forgotten who they beat the first round, but we had to try to get on top of their running game, and we did, and then eventually kind of were able to pull away a little bit in the second half.
So you look at the East Central team you face this Friday. They're 1-1 this season, coming off a win over San Antonio Roosevelt from this past Friday. It was a playoff team last year in what was a very tough district, as you know, the same district that you were in. A lot of players are back from that team. So initial impressions of East Central, what do you make of the opponent this Friday?
Well, they're playing with a lot of confidence. You mentioned the playoff run last year coming out of our league, 27-6A, and of course won the first round playoff game against Reagan. And so, you know, you feed off that kind of momentum, and it's pretty evident that that's carried over to this year. Now they're retooling in certain areas. A slot receiver who was dynamic for them last year, and Vivier kid, has now moved to quarterback. They're getting the ball in his hands a lot. Defensively, they return a number of their front guys, you know, very hard to block, and then they're just real well coached, real well sound, and real sound in what they do. Just real solid, and got good players to go with it. So we'll have our hands full like we have for 2 weeks. It's not going to change this week.
You mentioned Austin Vivier, the quarterback for the Hornets, 4 rushing touchdowns, over 100 yards rushing in the win this past week over the Rough Riders. You look at a quarterback like that who can make plays outside the pocket with his feet, with his legs. Yeah. What does that do in terms of game planning for a quarterback like that?
Well, you got to find a way to keep him contained. He's a good thrower, so it isn't like, well, let's just don't rush him and just keep him in there and make him throw. Well, he can beat you that way. So that's not the one and only answer you can have, but he has shown the ability to scramble and make plays outside the structure of the play. And then, of course, the designed quarterback runs that they already have built into the offense for him. So he'll be a tough chore to handle, but we're going to have to find a way to get that done.
You know, the game last year, a district game with the Hornets here at Ranger Stadium, they made life pretty tough on you. It was a 7-0 game. You led at halftime. Ended up winning 21-3, but they made it difficult for you to just keep moving the football. The score certainly held to just the 3 touchdowns in that game. Some of those defensive pieces are back. What do you expect to see from East Central's defense this Friday?
Well, you know, they do a good job with multiple fronts. You know, they line up a couple of different ways up front and let those defensive linemen control the line of scrimmage. And then their safeties do a really good job of supporting on the run. And, you know, we've got to account for them and or make some plays over the top of them in the throwing game. And in a perfect world, both of those things. And then we've got to take care of the football. You know, if you recall in that game, I think we turned the ball over 3 times. They turned it over 6 times. I mean, it was a comedy of turnovers a year ago. While we would love to get 6 turnovers again, we've got to take care of the football. And then I think the other thing is we've got to create more 3 and outs. Punt block, punt return, short field for the offense, go down and score on the short field, kick it deep with Clay, with that kind of leg, start them on their end of the field, get some more 3 and outs, and kind of run that rinse cycle 3 or 4 times. Hard to do. Hard to do against anybody. It'd be hard to do against East Central, but that's our style of football, and we need to get to it.
You know, it feels like the season began just yesterday, and here we are looking ahead to a game Friday that wraps up non-district play in 2022. After this, it's all 12-5A from here on out. That said, what do you want to get out of this final non-district game before the remainder of the games all count?
Well, you know, you want to sharpen up in certain areas, your red zone offense, your kicking game penalties. You know, we've had a few that have cost us some big returns. You know, you want to do that. You want to understand field position, short field for your offense, long field for your defense. Kind of get, you know, what I was talking about a minute ago, get your players understanding that. And because when you're playing that way, you're tough to beat, and your players play with a lot of confidence. And having said that, that's not anything new for us, but, you know, when you're playing teams of caliber that we've played, it doesn't always go according to script. So we'd love to have one of those kind of games. We'll see.
Well, Coach, best of luck against the old alma mater this Friday.
Okay, thank you, Brant.
Smithson Valley East Central, 7 o'clock kickoff. Rangers on the road against the Hornets, and we'll have the game for you right here on the Rangers Network. For head coach Larry Hill, I'm Brant Freeman. You've been watching Inside Rangers Football. We'll see you next time.